Titanium scooter handlebars. So today we're running the TIG 400. I'm at 75 amps. Let's see, 0.3 seconds of pre-flow. I'm actually using more than that because I bump the pedal and then let the gas flow for a while before I start. Let's see, I don't have upslope, downslope. Post gas, 21.5 seconds. I really don't need that much, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Let's see. Our hot start is at 23 amps, which I'll jump off the tip real nice like that. You can go lower, but then you might have the when it starts, you know. So I'll just leave it like that, just to have a nice crisp start. Let's see. So titanium is basically just stainless on steroids. It's kind of the best way to describe it. You gotta purge it just like stainless, you gotta clean it just like stainless, but you have to have a lot better gas coverage. You don't want it to get colors like stainless. You'll be fine as long as it doesn't turn like dark red and then start graying out. Dark red's actually fine too, but when it starts graying out is when it's no good. With titanium, you want to keep it in that like super shiny silver, and you can get a little bit of straw in there, but you don't want any blues. And it's kind of hard on things like this to keep that, because if you don't have an extra purge line that's backing up this with gas, then when it heats up right here, all your shielding gas is going, let's see, is going like this, and so there's nothing here on the back side. So one way you can kind of help, and it does help, but it's not the greatest, is you can take some aluminum foil and back it right there. You don't want it to be on the weld because then it'll kind of melt to it. But if you have it right there to where it kind of catches all the gas, then you can kind of stomp the gas, let it flow in there, and it'll act kind of like a backing gas. So, in order to purge everything, you gotta have holes in your pipe. So this one's got one right here, just a small hole, so that when it's right here, the gas can come up through the main tube into the top tube. And then you're gonna end cap these. Actually, my uncle made these really nice end caps with a little hole. You see that hole? That little hole is a vent hole, so it goes in the end. And I like these, but it's not as quick as just using some tape. So since these are so far away from where I'm gonna be welding, it's not gonna heat up enough to mess it up. So I'm just gonna tape it, poke holes, just like on the top. So argon's heavier than air, so what you wanna do is get it to flow down into the tube and have that atmosphere just kind of blow out through the vent. And so you'll have a continuous purge of pure argon running through here. And because of that hole, you kind of want to tip it just to kind of get it going from one side to the other. So I'll let it flow like this, one side up maybe a little bit with a little vent hole on one side, flip it over and do the same with that side before I start tacking and welding, just to make sure everything's good to go. So titanium uses it uses a lot of gas, so you might do a 8 to 10 second weld, and then you'll have 20 seconds of post flow on it before you can move again. So you're only moving maybe an inch and a half if you're lucky at a time. And you want your fit up to be perfect, because titanium's usually really thin, and if you've ever welded anything with a gap that's thin, it's a pain in the butt. So on these ones, I'm gonna take my time and try to get the fit as best as I can. So this is the cool purging fixture that my uncle built. It screws right onto the end of my gas line and then plug it in, good to go. But since I'm not gonna be using it, I'll just disconnect it and tape it in. So I've got a dual flow meter, and basically all that is a gas line running to your welding machine and another one that you can use for back purging. And you can tee off of this one if you've got multiple spots to purge. It makes it pretty nice if you're doing a lot of stainless, anything you need to back purge. If you're doing a lot of it, it's best to just have two welding tanks or gas tanks and have a dedicated one for your machine, dedicated for your other one, because when you start welding, it'll take a little bit of this gas from it for some reason. So because of that, I usually purge right around (10) CFH. Let's pretend, see that line right there is if you're looking at this weld right here, you know, a straight down view. This one is if you're looking like this, you know, it's the butt of the joint looking basically dead on this way at this weld. All three of these, okay, because I'm going to show three different things. Let's say you start your puddle, you start adding in the heat, your amps, and you want to grow that puddle. Now we get our puddle started, start adding in the amps. You know, it's gonna kind of look like this from the side. It'll kind of flow together, but it's still concave. On all three, because you get three different things. All right, so if you start adding it in and it's going like click, 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 like it's sticking as you're pushing it in. Titanium's sticky, so if you're actually hitting in front of it, it's gonna stick. But I'm talking about when you're actually pushing it into the puddle, like you have a good angle that it's going in. If it's sticking as it's going in and it starts building up real tall like this, then either you don't have enough heat or your filler rod's too big. Usually I size down on my filler rod, so there's little charts you can look at on what filler rod size to use for what material. And especially on titanium or stainless, I use usually thinner than what it suggests. Some places suggest the right one. Anyways, if you get this, that's not what you're wanting, because it's probably getting in here, you know, it's technically good, but it's not getting the right profile of what you want. So let's say you start adding in the filler, you know, right into the puddle, and it's going in smooth, but it's just staying there. So you're adding in the filler and it hasn't grown. What's happening is it's too hot and it's actually burning through, and that filler rod you're pushing in is just growing on the backside like that. Now that's too hot, that's not what you're wanting, and a lot of times that'll keyhole and just widen up on you, and then you're gonna have a big gap to fill. What you want is to find that happy medium in between these, where when you push in, it's nice and smooth, and as you push in, it just barely starts to become convex. And that means you're getting into all the areas you want to get, and it's going to be nice and smooth. A smooth looking weld, and that's that happy spot that you're looking for when you're welding anything, really. This doesn't have to be just titanium, but that's what you're looking for. You can see there's a small gap up here, a small one right there, and what I'll do is I'll tack it where it's hitting here and here, and then I'll push down with like a screwdriver and tack it when it's touching. And same on the back side, every probably ½ inch on this, because this is real thin. I think this is looks like 18 gauge actually. So it's quite a bit thinner than this, probably not half, but pretty close to half. So it's gonna wanna eat away on this versus this. So tacking will be a little tricky. Alright, so this is how it came out. So where there was gaps that I couldn't get just right, you can see how it's raised up. And then where it sat nice, you can see it's a nice tight bead. Raised up. And then same with this. So what I might do is I might go back over it and pulse weld it. So if you see in there, you can see the silver on the sides of that main tube, and there's no discoloration. It got a good purge all the way in, and it got good gas coverage on the outside also. Alright, so this side's done. This was that first weld they did. This is that second one. And you can kind of tell where there was a gap because it's tighter together and it's a little humped up. And then right here, you can see it looks nice, and that's because that's right where it came together. And then the same over on this side, you can see it's humped up right there in the center. And then once you get about there, it starts getting nice again. That's where the gap was. Or that's where the gaps were. This is where it was nice and tight. All right, here it is. This is the second side. Let's see. This one's the first side. Alright guys, that does it for the titanium video. I really love welding titanium. I used to do titanium exhaust all the time, but it's been quite a few years. I'd say probably 6 or 7. But if you haven't heard, I've been doing some welding classes over Zoom. So just one-on-one classes. If you're interested in that, just hit me up in the description below. I got my email. Just send me an email saying you're interested in the classes. If not, that's cool too. I definitely gotta say hi and thank you to my buddy Joseph. He just took one of my classes this morning and it was actually a blast. So thanks, Joseph. The other thing I gotta say is I'm actually an affiliate for HTP. So if you're ordering an HTP welder or you want to, check out my links. I've actually got a 5% off coupon now too. And anytime that you order through me, that gives me a little bit of a kickback, which means my wife will let me come out here and film more videos more often. So either of those would be great. So either one of those would be great. If this video helped you out in any way, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not. Hit that bell, that way you get notified every time I upload one of these videos. Don't mind the grease mustache, and take care.